Welcome to Love Chat with the Love Twins. I'm Gladys Diaz. I'm so excited to be here with you today. We're going to bring a lot of clarity to today about what specifically does being confident mean, because I think sometimes people confuse it with a little bit of conceit or arrogance. So we're going to get clear on what the confidence shift really is so that you're attracting love without sacrificing your power. One of the biggest things, we had an event a couple of weeks ago, and one of the biggest unrealized beliefs that women had, meaning they didn't realize it until through the questions that we ask and the process that we teach women, they saw clear as day that one of the biggest fears that they have is that love means they're going to lose something. In this case, today's conversation, lose your power, lose your identity, lose yourself in a relationship. I know some of you have said that to someone at least once, like, I feel like I lost myself in the relationship, or I lose myself in relationships. So if there's a fear that you're going to lose something when it comes to love and relationships, your brain is automatically going to be putting on the brakes even when you are attracting the right person, or it creates a magnetic vibe, an attraction to the people who are not right. And I was looking at some of the comments before the live stream actually started where people were saying, I'm not confident, or maybe I'm not confident enough. So we're going to be talking about the confidence shift. And we're also going to be talking about what are some things that get in the way. They get in the way of truly being yourself. So one of the things that, that Michelle and I know to be true, in having worked for over 16 years specifically in Heart's Desire and attracting women who are very strong women. They have their own thoughts, their own beliefs, their own opinions. And many, many times the women that are attracted to our work are women who are really getting the results that they want in other areas of their lives. They're doing well in their professions. They feel like they've got great friendships. They may have great families. And then there's this one area of life that can feel like you feel stuck, like you're not, why can't I produce the same kind of results? I mean, I can walk into a boardroom and close a deal or inspire, my boss to give me a raise. But when it comes to love and relationships, it feels like I'm stuck and I'm not able to create the relationships that I want, the kind of relationship, right? So what starts to happen when you start to experience time after time that you're either attracting the wrong person, or even if you get into a relationship, something happens and then it feels like it blew up, or that saying, they pulled the rug out from underneath you, or you feel like the success that you've acquired in your life, the dreams that you've achieved, the goals that you worked hard for, everything that you're doing in your life, that is somehow stopping you from attracting the right person. That men are intimidated by strong women, that men don't want to be with somebody who's further ahead than they are. And so the brain starts making up all kinds of stuff. And then you might say, because I know that I'm talking to you and I'm talking to the voice in your head, then you might say, yeah, but they have actually said that, oh, you come across as intimidating, or I don't know if I'm good enough for you. Well, the thing is that in order to attract someone who says that, there's a part of you, just consider this as a possibility, that believes that to be true. Because if it didn't occur as true for you, you would dismiss it like a gnat, like a fly, right? Like a bug in your face, because it's just like, that's ridiculous. That doesn't even make sense. So if that's a fear that you have, right, that either you have to choose between being a strong woman, an accomplished woman, or being in a relationship, or maybe you feel like it's unrealistic. It's unrealistic to want a great career, wonderful success, a beautiful life, and a great relationship. That means that there's a belief somewhere that you cannot have it all. And that even if you could have it all, you wouldn't be able to hold on to all of it. Is any of this resonating with anyone? If this is resonating with you, if you're hearing something that you've either heard yourself say, somebody say to you, or that you've believed at least once in your life, go ahead and put Y in the chat, the letter Y. So I don't know, yes, that it's resonating, that you're hearing something that sounds familiar. Maybe somebody said that you come across as intimidating. Maybe you feel like the men that you're with are a little intimidated by your success or by how well you're doing in life. Go ahead and put a Y in the chat so that we know, right? So that we know that that is resonating with you. Okay, so I'm starting to see some Ys there. Thank you for those of you who participate. It makes such a difference. All right. So when you have these beliefs, you're going to naturally attract. Remember, I said, I know I'm talking to you and the voice in your head. For those of you who haven't done work with us, it's the voice that said, what voice? Right? The voice in your head might be saying, but I have seen it and I have heard it, so it must be true. But here's the thing, when you believe something, your brain, there's a part of your brain called the reticular activating system that actually looks for the things that you believe are true. So if you've ever said, you know what, I want to buy a, think of the last car you bought, right? I want to buy this type of car. Right, I have a Lexus, right? When I first got I wanted a red Lexus. I had never, I had only had one other red car in my life, but I loved having champagne colored or silver, and I wanted a red one. And I didn't see anybody with the red one. I saw everyone with the pearl one, with the champagne one. With the moment that I purchased the red Lexus RX 350, all of a sudden I saw them everywhere. And that's the reticular activating system that is actually having you seek evidence for what it is that you believe is true. So if you believe that men are intimidated by strong women, if you've been told that, if you were told that as a young girl, you were told, you should you should go to school and work, but once you get married, you become a mother and you forget about who you are and you become, like that's your existence, that's your identity. Well, why not be both? Why can't I be both? But if there's a part of your brain that believes that to be true, then you will actually start attracting people, particularly men, who believe that to be true. And then you're stuck feeling like, well, I either have to water down my dreams, water down my drive, or be in a great relationship. And what happens is when you're a woman who's used to setting goals and hitting them and achieving them, selling out on yourself, dumbing down, dimming your light, watering it down, however you want to say it, it's settling. And settling doesn't sit well with a successful woman. Settling, it just doesn't sit well because we know that it's not a true reflection of who we are. And so what is it that gets in the way? Well, the first thing is sometimes people misinterpret what confidence means. And I was seeing some comments in the chat. Maybe I'm not that confident. I don't know, I'm not confident enough. And what true confidence is an energy. It's a way of being and an energy that you radiate, that you know that who you are is more than enough. Now, that is not the same as being self-centered, conceited, or you think you're all that. It's not about being condescending. There's a big difference between being a confident woman, which means that you believe and trust in yourself, and then yourself with a capital S, and an arrogant woman who shows off, thinks she's better, looks down, it's kind of like has her nose up. That's a very different energy. So the confident woman knows that she is more than enough. The arrogant woman lives life trying to prove to herself and to others that she's good enough. So if you have to prove that you're better than, that means you have to make other people feel less than. And so it's not an attractive, it really isn't an attractive energy. It's a repelling energy. But when you trust yourself, when you believe in yourself, when you know that you're not perfect, and that who you truly are at your core is lovable, is beautiful, is worthy and deserving of love and happiness and prosperity and success and joy and health and all of the things that you value, there is an energy that you radiate. And when you radiate energy out, that kind of energy, you attract the things, the people, the opportunities, the circumstances that are attracted to that. That is who you attract. Now, there's a difference between being confident and pretending like you are, right? People say fake it till you make it. First of all, faking anything is inauthentic. So you're already going to attract liars. Like if you're faking something, then you are going to attract faking energy, which is people who are liars, who are not who they say they are, who pretend to be one thing and then turn out to be the other. So you don't want to fake it till you make it. You want to be it and believe it so that you can receive it. right? Be it, believe it, so you can receive it. So that true confidence really does come from the inside out. There isn't any amount of money that will make you confident. There isn't any job title that will make you confident. There isn't any person who can make you confident because confidence is an inside job. Okay? So if you have this belief that in order to attract someone who's not intimidated by you, you have to dim, water down, dumb down yourself, your beliefs, your values, your not, I wouldn't say expectations, because expectations is something that you expect from somebody else, so that's outside in. Standards, boundaries, those are all yours. Now, if you believe that you have to lower them or water them down, minimize them in any way, you are going to attract a person who is attracted to lower levels of energy. The person who's needy, right? The person who's demanding. So you're either going to attract a man who's needy and needs you, and that can feel good at the beginning, but it's exhausting eventually, or you're going to attract a person who's controlling and wants you to need them. But you're not going to attract an equal match. In order to attract somebody who is attracted to a confident woman, you want to attract a confident man. High quality women attract high quality men. High value women attract high quality men. So if you're lowering your bar for yourself, you're going to attract a lower energy. Does that mean you're better than, less than, they're less than you are? No, but it's just the energy matches. So if you've been attracting men that you don't feel are the right match, you got to look inside, not for what's wrong, because there isn't anything wrong with you. There's just something that's not working. There's not something that's at the level that's going to attract that right kind of person. So let me stop there for a second. I want to make sure that I'm looking at the chat to see what's resonating. Let's see. I've not dated or gone out with anyone in 8 years. I don't know how to start. So Lisa, when you haven't dated in a long time, it's understandable that you wouldn't feel as confident about dating. You can feel confident in yourself, but you may not feel confident about how to date successfully. A lot of times when women take that break, it's either because they've been in a relationship for 8 years, 10 years, however long, so they haven't dated in that long, or if everybody knows this is one of my triggers, put a pause on their dating life because you had your heart broken or you had a really bad experience, and so it's taken this long to get the courage to open your heart again. If that's what's caused the pause, right? The gap in the amount of time since you've dated, it's understandable that you wouldn't feel as confident as if you had been dating all this time. Well, I wouldn't even say that, because there's some women who have been dating for 20 years unsuccessfully. So it's not the amount of time that you've been dating that matters. What makes the difference is knowing how to date successfully. That means, how do I attract the right person? How do I move from dating into an exclusive relationship, to a committed relationship, to marriage, if that's what you want, or, forever love. So, and most women, let's be real, in our community, they say long-term relationship, and we're like, do you want to be married? Yes. Okay, say that, right? Because there's a man who also wants to be married. Oh, but I don't want to scare him. The man who's scared of marriage is not the right man. You just saved yourself a whole ton of time and energy, right? But if you haven't dated in a long time, then it's important to learn how. It's important. It's just like anything else. If you haven't, let me see, technology, let's just use that. If you have never, like my mother, when she passed away, my mother had never touched a computer. Did that mean that my mother was not intelligent? No, my mother didn't know how to use a computer because she had never used a computer. She had never used a computer. That doesn't make her bad or wrong. It just didn't make her able to do the things that people who know how to use computers could do. She didn't want a smartphone. She wanted a flip phone with buttons. So did that make her smart or less smart? Or no, it just meant she wasn't able to use her phone like a smartphone. Even though it had capabilities, she wouldn't use those functions, right? So what I want to say to you, Lisa, is if you haven't dated in a while and that's what's having you not feel confident, that's understandable, but you don't have to stay there. So actually, let me say something that I was going to say later. Let me say that now, because if you're in the boat where you've heard something, I saw a lot of whys there. If you've heard something that's resonated with you and you want to really shift into your confidence, you want to shift to the point where you are feeling confident in yourself, remember yourself, and then yourself with a capital S, and also confident that you're attracting the right energy, the energy that matches what you want to experience in a relationship. But you have never had an opportunity to speak to our love breakthrough coaches. You want to schedule a call to do that, because what that's going to do is it gives you an opportunity to have a conversation with someone about what your goals when it comes to love and relationships are. And it's not just to be in a relationship, because I and everyone knows at least 3 people who are in unhappy relationships. Just like I said, it's not about dating for a long time, because there's a lot of people who have been dating unsuccessfully for a long time. This is about what is the ultimate goal that you have when it comes to relationships, and what's been getting in the way. What is it that didn't make the last relationships successful? What gets to shift so that you can shift into your confidence, so that you feel confident and competent when it comes to dating. So if you want to do that, go ahead and click on the link that's being dropped right now. That is to have a love discovery session with one of our coaches. It is one of the best ways to get clear on what specifically is standing in the way between me and the kind of relationship that I want. So make sure that you click on that, because here's the thing. The best way to gain confidence is to start getting competent. And when you start to learn what to do differently, and not just differently, what to do effectively. It's just like we think about this at work. Like at work, don't we want to know what is the plan? We set a goal for the quarter, and we want to know what is the plan, and we want to know how can we reach that goal in the best, fastest, most efficient, and effective way. It's the same thing when it comes to being successful in love. You want to know exactly what is going to make you successful in love. So remember, being less, that was the first point. Being less does not make you more lovable. It makes you invisible to the right man. Okay. And you don't want to be faking it till you make it, because authenticity is magnetic, right? And remember, he can't fall in love with you if you are not there. If you're pretending, then you're gonna attract a pretender, right? So you want to be authentic. You don't want to water down your dreams. That was the first thing I wanted to share with you. The second thing I want to share with you is that when you're talking about confidence when it comes to love, there are specific ways to embody your power, right? There's a magnetism, an actual magnetic energy that draws in high quality men. Part of it is feeling confident yourself. And the other one is knowing, I mentioned it before, but I didn't go into it. It's the worthiness and the deservingness. So a worthy woman knows that she can have what she wants. She knows that it's possible. Okay. The woman who knows she deserves it, right? She knows that not only does she want it, but she can have it. And she easily attracts that to herself. She sees herself as capable of receiving it. So one thing is for love to be knocking at your door, and the other thing is to believe that you deserve it. Allowing that love into your heart, allowing that person into your life. So remember, we started talking about power. True power doesn't intimidate. True power doesn't overpower. It doesn't intimidate. It inspires. So when a woman really truly owns her energy, her power, and she's also still inside of that the femininity, because a masculine man is seeking feminine energy. So if you're always in your masculine energy, you're like competing to be the better man in the relationship. A high quality man is like, this isn't what I'm looking for. So he's not looking for somebody who dumped herself down. What attracts him to you is that inner power that you have, that confidence, that radiance that you have, and it inspires him. It actually inspires him to be a better man. It inspires him to want to please you. It inspires him to want to protect and provide for you. So you don't have to be forceful to be powerful. Force is repelling. Force is repelling. Power is attractive. It actually has, when you're standing in your power, you feel empowered within yourself. It's very easy. And that's what makes it faster. That's what makes the process faster than if you're trying to force something. If you've ever been in a relationship, you can put F in the chat. If you've ever been in a relationship where you've been trying to force someone, make someone feel something they didn't feel, end a relationship with somebody they didn't want to end, do something they didn't want to do, and you keep nagging, begging, pleading, holding on, waiting. Like if you've ever tried to force something, you just know how exhausting that is. Force is exhausting for you because you're the one exerting all of the energy. And it's exhausting for the person who's receiving it because they don't want to be told what to do, forced into it, nagged into something. Okay. The other thing is when you're in your, what we call your irresistible essence, that magnetic energy, you're not performing. We already talked about pretending. You don't have to do more. You don't have to do anything to prove that you're worthy of love, right? I was just talking about worthiness. You simply need to be who you truly are. You root yourself, you ground yourself in your own worth. Then you allow yourself to be emotionally open to the right person, the person who you can trust. And if you just said, well, how do I know if I can trust them? That's why you've got to learn how to date. You got to learn how to date. And more before that, you got to learn how to trust yourself. The only reason you don't trust yourself is because you made some decisions along the way based on fears, based on limiting beliefs, based on patterns that you learned or made up yourself. And it didn't turn out right. But if you right now were dating and you were attracting really high quality men who are honest, they're generous, they're thoughtful, they're tender, you would not be upset at dating. Online dating, offline dating, any dating. You would be very, very happy. You would be glad that you were attracting 2, 3, 5 men, talking to all of them. I said talking, dating, getting to know them. I didn't say sleeping with them, where you're getting to know which is the one that I feel like I really want to spend the rest of my life with. Right? So when you root yourself in your worth, that confidence, that magnetism radiates, and you attract and draw to yourself a person who's attracted to that. And you're unapologetically yourself with a capital S, and you know that that's more than enough. More than enough. Okay? And in case you still have a part of you that believes that men are intimidated by successful women, by powerful women, by women who are out there getting things done, just know that the man who's right for you is going to be attracted to you for who you are, not what you do, first of all. Second of all, it's your vision and your standards, the way you honor yourself, the way you honor your boundaries, the way you communicate and carry yourself. That is what's going to attract the right man. It is not going to scare off the right man, right? And then just like water rises to meet its level, he's going to rise. He's going to rise to match you. And that's where you feel like you're in an aligned partnership, right? Not a mismatch, which is possibly what you've been in, where you've been the one who's always giving and the other person's taking. Or like I said, you're trying to force something to happen and you feel like the other person's not responding to you with the kind of love that you want, the love and affection. Enough with the mismatch. You get to attract the right match. And that's what this inner magnetism does. But the third thing is there's a shift, right? People are using the word pivot a lot lately. A pivot is like a turn. It's a shift that will have you truly break through, eradicate, disappear that fear of being too much. Some women, as children, were told you too much, you ask for too much, settle down, be quiet, you're too much, like you're driving me crazy, right? Some of you heard that and grew up thinking that wanting what you want, wanting what you desire, what feels good for you, what you feel is a match for you is a little bit too much. So first of all, know that too much is an inherited story. It's a story you inherited and it is not a truth that you must live by. You may have inherited it. Maybe it was passed down to you, but you don't have to wrap yourself in it and you definitely don't have to live by it. Okay? Perhaps to survive difficult situations or to not feel unloved in your family or even in school where teachers are, telling people you talk too much, you are too much, settle down. Maybe you had to dim yourself a bit, you felt that you needed to do that in order to survive, be loved, be accepted. You're a grown woman now. You get to heal those wounds so that you're not being driven by your wounds, you're being driven by your dreams. Okay. And so if that was something that was said to you, just know that you can actually break free from that story and create a new identity. You don't have to disappear or dumb down or quiet down, or, some women were made to feel like the only way to not attract bad attention, whether that was yelling or attention of other unwanted sorts, was to disappear. So you don't have to disappear. You get to be you. You get to be seen. You get to be heard and loved and adored for who you are. You don't have to keep feeling like what you want is too much, like who you are is too much, or that dream that you have is just too much. It's unrealistic. Okay. Being truly who you are, that is what unlocks the door. That is what unlocks the gate to true love. It unlocks your heart to be able to not only give the love that's inside of you, but also to receive the love that's coming at you, that's already waiting for you. So it's that authenticity and shifting out of, maybe there's something, and I said this at the beginning, there's something wrong with me because I haven't been able to do this until now. Babe, there's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. Your heart may have been broken. You are not broken. There is a love that is waiting for you. It just can't find you behind all of these fears and personas and pretenses, right? So we get to strip away the protective, armor, and start to allow the true you to come out. And when the right man sees the real you, the true you, the authentic you, he cannot resist wanting to get to know you, which is why we say it's an irresistible essence. Okay. So it's only when you start to really own who you are, love, accept, forgive, and love who you truly are, that you can attract a man who will see you and love you and accept you for exactly who you are. That's what mature love looks like. It doesn't mean that we have to be perfect or he has to be perfect. Is that we can see and accept that there are imperfections, and yet I feel that you are perfect for me. Okay. And I just want to say this because this was one of my, remember how I said, let me not go on that sandbox, but I said there's triggers, right? Things that get me on my soapbox and then I can't get down. But one of them, when I was a teacher, was not a teacher, excuse me, when my children, well, when I was a teacher, but also when my kids were younger, was when I would hear moms talking about how much they sacrificed. They sacrificed for their kids. They said, and I guess it's understandable that people might think that sacrifice is a way to express love. And a lot of us grew up in homes and families where we saw the women wasting themselves away, giving beyond, the point of exhaustion in order to keep the family happy, the husband happy, everything working, right? And so we pick up these things that we think that that's what love means. And I always used to say this, even when I would hear mom say this, I've heard it also and there's a lot of women, particularly highly spiritual women, who believe that love is to sacrifice. Sometimes you might have to sacrifice a little bit of your time, a little bit of your energy, but if you see love as a sacrifice in its ultimate term, or the ultimate sense of the word, is to kill off, right? If you think the Bible, right? Loving sacrifice to God, they had to kill the sheep and offer it up as a sacrifice. So when you're sacrificing, you're killing something off. So what you don't want to kill off are your dreams. You don't want to kill off your essence, your authenticity, who you are. And you absolutely do not want to kill off the real, true desire that you have to love and be loved. You don't want to sacrifice what you truly want for temporary love. You don't want to sacrifice your values just so that you can be with someone, so that you're not alone. And you don't want to sacrifice your authenticity because you're afraid that somebody's not going to love you, that the moment they see that thing or they see who you really are, they're going to stop loving you, or you're going to mess things up. Like, you don't want to sacrifice your authenticity, your identity, your dreams, your desires. That is not required when it comes to love. Okay. So if you can give up the story that you are too much, or that the love that you desire is too much or too good to be true, if you can, for just a moment, put that to the side, schedule a call with one of our coaches if you've never had a call before, so that we can really help you break through that. Let's break through these stories, because if you could just for a moment put that to the side, that story that it's too much, that you want too much, that you're too much, or that you're not enough, it's either one extreme or the other, then you could actually open yourself up to the possibility of attracting the love that is a match for that dream, that is a match for your vision, that is a match for your values, that is a match for yourself with a capital S. And that person who you attract into your life, he's going to love you, imperfections and all. He's going to adore you. He's going to desire you. He's going to really make the mission of his life to make you happy. And not because he's sacrificing, because he's the sacrificial lamb, but because he can't help but show his love for you. He can't help but express how important you are to him. So if up until today, up until this love chat, you had a story about it being unrealistic or too much or not enough, right, for you to have the love that you want, I really invite you to give up that story and own your worth. Own the, like, if you don't believe it yet, just borrow my faith for now, that you really do deserve it. You can have it. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to hurt, and you don't have to sacrifice or lose anything, including yourself, in order to have that love. Here's the thing. You deserve love. You are worthy of it. You were born worthy of it. You don't have to do anything for it. You don't have to earn it. You simply get to receive it. And we're here to help you do that, so that the experience of dating and love can be fun, easy, exciting, fulfilling, and everything that your heart desires. No watering down, no settling, no dumbing it down. You get to have everything your heart desires, and that's why we're here. So thank you all for your time, your attention, your trust, and until our hearts meet again, always remember that you are loved. Bye for now.